Well, cats aren't selling it. Well, we're selling.
$7
o'clock.
What? Don't miss any McGrath.
I know.
Well, it's a good Monday evening. It is, Catherine said it's 7 o'clock. Or 6 o'clock, excuse me, 6 o'clock. I'm still all time change.
Just didn't change.
It's 6 o'clock on November the 2nd, 2020. And so we have our Dunbar Finance Committee meeting with the city council members here. So we call that to order at 6 o'clock this evening. And so the first item, and just a quick reminder again, we've done this several times. Those watching, each of us have a mask on except when I'm speaking. I'll put mine back on. And those of you that do speak, if you can, pull it down so they can understand on video, because it makes it hard with the muffle, but we're trying to abide by the guidelines so that everybody stays safe. We'll start after the call to order with approval of minutes for October the 19th, 2020. You've got your minutes, you've read those, and thanks to the mayor and Councilman Steve Arnott for compiling these. Any questions, comments, or corrections on the minutes from October the 19th, 2020 finance meeting? Okay, hearing no corrections, comments, or anything, and we have a motion to approve.
I make a motion to approve the minutes for October 19, 2020 Finance Committee meeting.
Okay, so Connie Thompson has made a motion.
I second it.
Okay, Jim Hughes is second. Any other discussion? All in favor say aye. Opposed no. Thank you. And we'll drop down to invoices, $92,505.27. And what we'll do first is go through our finance committee members for any questions. And after that, we'll check with any council members who are not on the committee. They can ask some questions for clarification as well. So we'll start with Connie Thompson.
I do not have, well, it's just a typewriter. Page 1 of 4, it needs to say the 18th Street where those little stumps came off, because I don't think we did anything on 8th Street. That's not good. And then on the, this thing,
P-cards.
yeah, we,
Excuse me, I'm sorry, purchase order, not P-cards, purchase orders.
we ordered reusable masks for the employees. Is that just like cloth ones? And for all the employees?
Yes, we should be getting the bulk of them in here next week or so. And we'll have them for all city employees, people that come in and out of the city hall on a regular basis. They should have one for each day.
That's one for each day?
Fine.
Okay, that's good. That's all I have.
Thank you, Connie. And we'll go to Councilman Jim Hughes.
I already right now, we got about $78,000 in pension utility fees. The rest of this stuff's just basic monthly things we go over.
Stay right there, everything will be ordered. And we'll go to the other council in a minute, but as was mentioned, there's several utilities, AEP, sewer, Suddenlink, Frontier. There is the asbestos abatement that's built into that, and then the salt spreader for $3,000. We approved up to 38, so we got it for 3. And then it was mentioned the pensions. One other thing, there was Dell computers. We received a grant, so it was $9,414. We paid it, but the grant was $10,000, wasn't it? It was cheap.
Yes.
So everything was covered. So that's all I had. We'll go around now and start with Doug Fletcher.
I have nothing.
Thanks, Steve. We'll go back over to Linda.
Yep.
Greg Wolf.
I'm good.
Thank you all. Okay, again, that amount is $92,505.27. Everyone has reviewed those before they got here, and then you've heard there are very few questions. Pretty self-explanatory. So with that, I'll entertain a motion to send this to full council for approval.
I make a motion, we send $92,505.27 to the full council for approval.
We have a motion by Jim Hughes. Do we have a second?
Second.
Connie Thompson, second. Any other questions by committee members or any final questions by council? Hearing none, all in favor say aye. Opposed, no. Thank you. And clerkship board again today is November 2, so there's very little that is possible to be presented. Is there anything I'm missing, Connie?
No.
Okay.
No. Just wait and put it all, put that, like you said, today's second.
Because the month ended Friday, and today's the
Right.
first business day, so it's virtually impossible to have it ready. So the next meeting, though, will be lengthy reports for everything. We'll come down to our ordinances. These are second readings. Again, 2 weeks ago, we did the first reading. Second reading of ordinance 792, increasing the compensation for the city council president by $50 per meeting. Just an explanation. Those that are watching, again, council is only paid per council meeting. Nothing else. Everything else, committees, anything else that's done is voluntary. So that's the way the pay scale is set up. Presently, the president is 125. And this would change it to 175. That averages two meetings a month. So we had the first reading last time. And again, this is for whomever is elected tomorrow. It applies to no one here. Maybe someone here is reelected, but no one here currently in this term. And no one knows who the president will be. Once the election happens, then the new council and the new mayor will meet the first of the year and pick a president. But anything else about the second reading of an ordinance to change it from 125 to 175? Any questions? Any comments? Hearing none, do we have a motion then to approve the second reading, City Council 792, changing the pay scale of council president?
I make a motion that we send to full council second reading of ordinance 792, increasing the compensation for the city council president by $50 per meeting.
So Connie Thompson's made the motion. Do we have a second?
I second the motion.
Jim Hughes is second. And note when that comes up in council, that will actually be a roll call, but for us, it's a voice vote. Any final questions? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, no. Okay, we go to the second reading of ordinance 793. Same concept, but this is for council. Again, it'll depend on who's elected tomorrow, but the rest of council, they receive $100 per meeting, averaging 2 a year, so around $2,400 a year before taxes. This will change that from $100 to $150 per meeting. Again, it was discussed at the last one in the first reading. And again, this can only be done once every 4 years within state code. The current term cannot adjust their own salaries preceding city council votes on salaries for the next term. So any questions? Hearing none, entertain a motion again for second reading of ordinance 793.
I make a motion that we send to full council a second reading of ordinance 793, increasing the compensation for city council by $50 per meeting.
I second the motion.
So Connie Thompson is the motion, Jim Hughes is the second. Any other questions or discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Okay. So again, that will be a roll call at the full council meeting. We drop down to new business. We have several things. I was joking with Jim Hughes, most of your committee. But we start first with approval to declare vacant lots as excess property. This allows us to put them up for sale and disposal. These 5 properties, I'll quickly read them in a moment, but they are all properties that have either the city has acquired and have either already torn the building down, abated the asbestos tore down, or are in the process of it. So these are, the request is asking that they now be allowed to be considered excess property so we can dispose of those. And the appraisal cost for that will come to $1,750. That was in the invoices we approved. And that is 136 8th Street, 2105 Fletcher, 125 Marks, 215 West Virginia, and 813 Dutch Hollow. 2 of those still have Marks, and West Virginia still have in the process of abatement and demo.
3.
Fletcher, okay. So we'll come back in a moment to look at advertising and the appraisals and all that. The first item is first just to declare these vacant lots as excess property. We can't do anything else until they're considered excess.
I make a motion that we send to full council approval to declare the following vacant lots excess property: 136 8th Street, 2105 Fletcher, 125 Marks, 215 West Virginia Avenue, and 813 Dutch Hollow Road.
So we have a motion from Connie Thompson.
And a second from Jimmy.
Okay, and Jim is second. Any final questions on that or anything? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed, no. So then you see the next then is to approval to advertise. And I'll let the mayor explain the process of to follow state code. We've done it, but he'll explain it that we get the appraisal We allow 4 bids, and then we wait to see how they come, but I'll let the mayor share that.
Okay, what we will do is start placing these in the paper for to receive bids. And in the first advertisement, we will be, there'll be a minimum set for the appraised value. In the event that there is not a bid at the appraised value or more, then we will come back and accept bids for the highest bidder for the property. But initially, we need to try to recover the appraised value of the property before we put it out for competitive bidding for the acquisition. And then the 136 8th Street and Dutch Hollow Road are both demolished at this time, so those will go in the paper first. And then once we get the asbestos and the demolition on the others, we'll place them in the paper as soon as that gets out.
Is there a time frame? Like, do the bids, are they 10 days, 8 days, 5 days?
2 weeks, we have to put it in two
2 weeks.
consecutive issues of the paper.
It'll take about 3 weeks.
I'm just saying, like that advertised part, like,
You have to advertise twice, a
uh-huh,
week apart,
okay,
and then we'll get the leads. Send in the bids.
okay.
What we're trying to do is recover all or more of the money we spent.
Right.
And the appraisals came in pretty good, nice part.
And in your invoices that we've already approved to send to council, that was $1,750. They were $350 a piece for the appraisals. And you saw the notes in your packet from the mayor. 8th Street, the appraisal was 10,000. Fletcher was 3, Marks Road 8,500, West Virginia 10, and Dutch Hollow 8,500. So those are appraisals. So any other questions you've heard the mayor explain the way the state outlines we do this so that we're being ethical and not, we don't deal with anybody. So any other questions before we
I do have,
go on there?
for anybody that's interested, I do have the actual certified appraisals. It was by a certified real estate appraisal or appraiser, so, you know, they are legitimate appraisals. So anybody that wants to see them, citizen or whoever, is welcome to look at the appraisals during the bid process or whatever.
Any other questions or comments on it? Thank you, Mayor, and you for that. Do we have a motion then to approve the advertisement of these 5 lots by closed bid?
I make a motion to approve, to send to full council approval to advertise the following lots for sale by a closed bid.
I second that motion.
So Connie Thompson's made a motion, Jim Hughes is second. And again, that's 136 8th, 2105 Fletcher, 125 Marks Road, 215 West Virginia Avenue, 813 Dutch Hollow. So we have a motion and second. Any other questions or comments? Hearing none, all in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed, no. Thank you. And now we drop down to Parks and Recs as the very last item goes back to building inspector, but the next several are Parks and Recs. And Jim, you see your committee sends us first the lights, LED, $50. There were 2 bids. The low bid was $50 for $1,500 from State Electric. Any questions for the mayor or building inspector or Councilman Hughes from that committee on the lights for the shelter?
I'd just like to make a comment that these next 7 items are items that we had in our Park Rec meeting, and we asked them to all be broken down so everybody knows where all the monies are being spent at. And we're getting a good buy on these because these are end of the year things. This is also money that's going to be coming out of our COVID money, and so this is a good deal. We wanted to make sure everybody knew what we were spending the money on. So that's the reason these are broke down on each individual item. So this first, then I'll make a motion to approve the lighting for the city park shelter for $1,500.
Okay, so we have a motion on that. Do we have a second?
Second.
Okay, so Jim Hughes made a motion, Connie Thompson second. Just a point of clarification, one item comes out of the CARES Act, the others are all out of our budget. Correct, clerk, on that?
Yes,
Okay.
there's money in the budget right now
Correct.
at this point. And
So
if we have to, then we'll take a budget adjustment later on if we,
only the fogger comes out of CARES Act, correct? When we get to
Those, it's gonna come out somewhere. Then we'll have to do a budget adjustment.
It will come out of our budget and then we
And then we
will submit
reimburse
it, and we'll submit it for
Okay.
reimbursement.
Because we don't have a CARES Act, not like
that, and I'll just make that clarification so that everybody doesn't think about all this through CARES Act.
Right.
So we have a motion and a second. Any other questions or comments by this committee or other council members? Hearing none, all in favor say aye. Opposed, no. Thank you. And again, drop down to D, volleyball net and pole system, not to exceed 2,200. If you looked at your bid, it's Anthem Sports, it's actually 2,199, but that gives us 2,200 to be safe. So any questions on it or anything you want to share, Jim, from your committee on volleyball?
And again, if you look at it in your packets, there's diagrams and pictures and everything on each one of these items in your packets. So you know exactly what they are, how they're made, and how they're gonna go in the ground. And pretty self-explanatory.
So, any other questions? We have a motion to send to full council, this bid for 2,200.
Make a motion that we send the full council first volleyball net and pole system for $2,200.
Motion by
Not
Jim,
to exceed, I'm sorry.
not to exceed 2,200, and motion by Jim Hughes. Do we have a second?
Second.
Connie Thompson, second. Any other discussion? All in favor, say aye. Opposed, no. Thank you. And again, as is mentioned, there's plenty of paperwork to document every one of these. And it's not something you get a lot of bids on. It's a very unique market, but they're good prices. Basketball backboard and pole system, again, Anthem Sports, not to exceed $2,000. Anything we want to share on that?
Make a motion that we send full council not to exceed $2,000 for a new basketball backboard and pole system.
Jim Hughes has made a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Connie Thompson, second. Any other discussion?
I got one question.
Yes, Steve.
There was two pictures in there, one of the portable one mounted in the ground in concrete. Are we gonna mount that in concrete?
We'll get two separate backboards.
Okay.
Okay, the first one that we're talking about right now, we'll go down where the old diving boards were against the back fence for the little kids to play. And then the portable one, we will put in the snack bar area for little kids. So we can have big kid and little kid, you know.
Yeah, that makes sense. My thought was that portable one get tore up before the winter, before the summer's over, but it was permanent in the ground. That makes sense. Yeah, it's not diving weird. That's all.
But now the portable one will be for the little kids. I mean,
But it'll be up near the,
it'll be right there at the, you know where the snack bar area was? That we tore the tin roof off. It'll go in that fenced in area right there so that it'll be kind of a secure place for them to play.
So we had a motion, a second, and had a question. Any other questions? All in favor, say aye. Opposed, no. Thank you. And then with that, as Steve Mark brought up, this next one is a portable that you can adjust the height for smaller kids. And again, you can see the price difference as well because of that. It's $430, not to exceed $430, again, by Anthem Sports. So any questions about the portable one? If not, a motion to approve that.
Make a motion that we spend $430 not to exceed, or $430 for a youth basketball pole backboard.
So motion by Jim Hughes, do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Connie Thompson. Any other discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed, no. Then we have two more items that are connected to it as well. See the playground, and this switches now from Anthem Sports to Metro Rec for these two new items. The next two items, you saw a playground, and there were diagrams and drawings of it. Playground not to exceed $12,900. That includes the shipping. So any questions for Jim or the mayor? I think it worked on getting this bid as well for the playground equipment.
Again, if everybody wants to look in their packet, there's a diagram in there of all the playground equipment. Has a slide and monkey bars and all different kinds of things for our kids to use. It's almost like what's down on Myers Avenue on those. And then some of it's like what's up City Park already down in the lower part.
So, any other questions? We have a motion to approve this, send full council the approval of $12,000, not to exceed $12,900 for for the playground.
I make a motion, to send to full council approval to purchase the playground equipment at cost not to exceed $12,900, which includes the shipping cost.
So Connie Thompson's made a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Jim Hughes is second. Any other discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, no. Okay. And then with that, is the padding, the base of it essentially that it sits on. I know the current one down by the newer shelter is a rubber tire chip. This one, is a snap together impact pad. Mayor, do you just want to share anything about that, the differences on it, pros and cons?
The reason we went to the snap pad is in order to put the nuggets down, we would have to put a barrier up and then put about 6 inches of the nuggets in there. I think I put in the information packet that we spent a substantial amount of money on the nuggets and border, like 10,000 and change for the to put the nuggets and the borders down there. This will be just a padded pad that fits right on the concrete slab. So it'll be, I think it'll be a lot more durable, and you're not going to have a lot of the issues that the nuggets get kicked all over the place. And it does meet the requirements for the impact based on the height of the equipment. For the record, it's coming from Miracle Playgrounds. It's kind of the mother company, and they sell it through Sourcewell, which is an entity that is set up to do for government purchasing at a big discount. So.
One question on that, based on it being a flat surface and the pictures, it looked like with that, correct me if I'm wrong, it looks like it'll be more ADA compliant also than the chips and things, correct?
Yes, the problem we have with the other playgrounds we have, they have the chips down there, and it's virtually impossible for somebody in a wheelchair to get around the park. So, maybe someday, especially in the areas where we have ADA swings and so forth, that we may be looking at putting a mat down in those zones, so it would be more inclusive and accessible for those people.
So that's another positive to this system versus the chip, rubber chips. Any other questions for the mayor or Jim on this? Do we have a motion to approve this purchase not to exceed $8,970?
I make a motion to send to full council approval to purchase the playground snap together impact padding at a cost not to exceed $8,970.
Connie Thompson's made a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Jim Hughes is second. Any other questions from committee or council? Hearing none, all in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, no. And then we move to McCuris Fogger. That also the National Guard, civilian from the National Guard came and gave a demo to Parks and Rec Committee. And as you looked in your packet, there was detailed information. You saw the breakdown of the equipment. I think it was $21,000 for the machine and the wand that goes with it, the software, and all the different parts, hydrogen peroxide for the chemical, etc. So, any questions? Again, to the mayor or Jim on this. Again, that's from Pathago. And the benefits of this, I'm sure there are other companies out there, but this is the same one the National Guard uses, so they would be there. They promised to be there to guide us through, correct, Mayor? My understanding from that meeting.
Exactly. They've already gone through the debugging process, and they've settled in. This equipment is the most functional, and as they explained at the meeting, the fog does kill bed bugs. So, and we can use this in all of our city facilities. We can use it to fog vehicles. So when we get back into heavy senior transport again, we'll be able to take the machine and fog them down. We can do the offices and the hallways here. City Hall on a routine basis. So it's not something that will be restricted to the rec center, but our main concern was to get the kids in there playing basketball and get the facility disinfected in a timely manner so that they can come back in the next day and play, make sure it's done efficiently and effectively. So that was the whole driving force behind
I think the selling point was the bed bugs. I'm joking on that.
Will they
Could
be
be a couple.
required training by
Yes.
certain people, so it's OSHA correct and
it. Yes, the National Guard has already agreed that they will come down and we'll have several people that will be trained by them, and they'll even come down to our first couple of applications and monitor to make sure that everything's going right. So
Just,
They used this over at the police department. How long did it take them to do the police building here, chief? What, about an hour?
That was several hours,
Yeah.
but that was front part and back part, all side offices and everything. Probably a little bit more in depth, but it takes a couple hours.
the biggest part is not the actual application of the bulb. It's fumigating the building, getting the air exchange, to get it out of the building before people come back in. That's the reason it takes about a 3-hour period of time to.
You have to prep before you use it, then after you use it. Then there are certain levels that they monitor, make sure it's safe, like the mayor was saying, before you can go back in and use it.
just a breakdown for citizens watching. As we'll come to, it's approved up to 30,000 is what we're asking for, but the breakdown is that the actual machine is 21,000. Then there's the sprayer that you use to apply to bathrooms, chairs, et cetera, is 4,900. The actual chemical, every every case of 4 1-gallon bottles is $405. I think we were at 12 in this initial purchase order. And then there's some monitoring fees and an iPad. Because actually it's controlled by an iPad, isn't it?
It can be.
So you get step out and controls.
They strongly recommend it once you set the parameters up for a room, you can plug it into the iPad, and then when you go to room B, you can right-type that in, and it'll automatically program the machine to the intensity spray for the volume of the area to get the right distribution of calls to that size area. So somebody doesn't have to be recalculated and make that mistake.
Any questions for the mayor on that? And again, some of you were here at the demonstration, but any questions? And thanks to Scott for getting, Brittany, was that her name? Brittany, so Scott had a connection to get the lady, the civilian from National Guard to come and do the demonstration. So we appreciate that. Any other questions? Hearing none, we entertain a motion to, well, let me make a note again, this is something, as was mentioned already, can be submitted for reimbursement through the CARES Act since it is specifically a COVID-related issue as well. So just to make that clear. But entertain a motion to send this to full council for approval not to exceed $30,000 for the initial start of the kit.
I make a motion to send to full council approval to purchase the Pure's dual use water, the trigger to spray 12 gallons of disinfectant, decontamination, and the iPad not to exceed the cost of $30,000.
Thompson's made a motion. Did you second, Jim?
Second.
Jim Hughes seconded. Any final questions from anyone? All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed, no. Hopefully that'll be quite a blessing to our city over the next long term, but especially the next 12 to 15 months until this is somehow under control. Last item is the contract for asbestos abatement at 125 Marks Road. And see, in our invoices was the approval for the 215 West Virginia that's already been done. And then this is the new bid, 125 Marks Road. And somebody say something. Okay. Okay. And we had 2 bids. One was $2,773, and Another bid was $2,400, and that is RS Environmental. So Hugh, anything you want to share with us on this bid?
I put it out for 4 different contractors to offer bids, only 2 of them responded in time. We used RNF before when we did 213 Dunbar Avenue. And as soon as that's done, this is a house we can tear down on our own. So we would save considerable amount of money, and the bids for that property came in pretty high. So this should be a money maker for us, for as far as demolition goes. We won't go in the hole, personally.
And the other thing is that there's a storm drain that's failed beside that house, and we can't get in to work on that storm drain as long as that house is there. So we need to get the house tore out so we can get in there and do the storm drain repair, and then everything will be up and rolling.
Any other questions for building inspector or mayor? Again, your low bid was $2,400, so entertain a motion to send to council for approval this RS Environmental bid for $2,400 at 125 Marks Road.
I make a motion to send full council approval to award the contract to remove the asbestos on 125 Marks Road prior to demolition to RS Environmental in the amount not to exceed $2,400.
Thompson's made a motion. Do we have a second?
I second that motion.
So use the second. Any other questions from anyone? Hearing none, all in favor say aye. Any opposed, no. Thank you. And again, it's November the 2nd, so the clerk is not able to give us info because it's the first business day after the close. But we'll take time now if there's anything that maybe has finance related, and after that, if there's any other finance issues council wants to discuss.
I think all in all, the city's doing extremely well. We haven't seemed to have a huge decline in business over the last 8 or 9 months, which has been a blessing for us. So I think we're in a really good position heading into the winter and the next administration. So just want to thank council and all the department heads and everything, everybody working together just to make this whole thing work. I mean, I think where we are right now is reflective on everybody working together to make this thing happen the way it has, where we have the resources to be able to do some things now and start making repairs to the city and get things accomplished.
Anything else? Any financial question? Again, it's not on the agenda, so we can't vote, but is there any financial questions for the city, or committee or council members?
No, I was going to say that. I'm just glad to see we're investing in our city parks in the city of Dunbar. It's been a long time coming, and I'm very pleased with that.
And I think based on some feedback I've got, Jim and others, I think citizens are excited as well.
I don't know if everybody goes out and looks at it. I know that Bub and Scott and all the guys, I mean, they've done a tremendous job cleaning them all up. They look absolutely spectacular. And once we get this other park finished up there, one section of the park over where the old pool was, it's just been sitting there dilapidated for the last 6 years, not using it. When we get this facility up there, it's going to be very, very, very nice. Be a nice place to come up there and hold a church group or any type of outing for a family, a city event. I mean, it's going to have everything. It's going to be very, very nice.
I see, I know your presentation is not the next meeting, but I see you've got the Mohawk done.
Oh, yeah, it finally dried up where they can get that done.
Yeah, did they rent, I saw a big tractor, did they rent one?
No, that was Lee thing they did that day.
Okay. That looks good too, that finally was able to drive it up.
Until today, when they came in and all the leaves were yesterday.
I do have something I put in the information packet. It seems like we got some time if everybody wants to discuss it. It has to do with the regulation of Airbnb.
Yes, thank you.
And you and I did have a conference call with WVU Law Clinic, and they have signed some people to work with us and see what we can do relative to our ordinances to regulate the Airbnbs. I think the thing that came up earlier, before the meeting, there was some discussion. One of the big issues is parking. If you look at the bed and breakfast portion of our ordinance, it says that they have to have off-street parking for the facility. So that'll be something that we'll be pushing to get into the Airbnbs and getting them fully identified and get them registered as a business. But in the meantime, you know, we're working. They're going to work with us and try to figure out where some of the how we can strengthen up our ordinances to prevent these from being party houses. Somebody just drop a credit card online and go get a house and have a party in it and walk away from it. I think that's kind of the experience we've been seeing here in Dunbar. It's not people traveling from across the United States just wanting to stay in a quaint community and in a home environment while they're traveling. I think the experiences that we've been having have not been positive experiences.
It's exactly what happened with the Airbnb behind me last night, had a big Halloween party.
Yeah, I think the bottom line is these are operating as businesses. They're operating businesses without license, without paying taxes or anything else. And I think we ought to shut them down immediately when we find one of these going on, you know, until we get this cleared up, ordinance cleared up.
Well, unfortunately, the way the legislature wrote the law, they pretty much barred us from doing anything that we would like to do to control these things. And that's the thing, is we can regulate any rental property as long as we do all of them the same.
Yeah, but this is a business.
So is renting a house.
It's a different type of business.
I understand that, but we've spoken to 2 different lawyers so far, and we're working on some angles on it, because one thing we were looking at is these are basically classified as hotel motels. So all of our hotels and motels have to be sprinkled to the fire rate. So we're looking into that. There's a couple other things in there that they just kind of shut us down on. I mean, it was, and I know why they did it, but
If I could speak to that, subsection K of the state law that they passed says municipalities may not prohibit or effectively limit the rental of property. And however, they can regulate activities, but that regulation must apply uniformly to all properties, rental or not. So I've never seen a law that did that. I'm sure there's lobbying people who got that passed, but effectively neutered us.
And the citizens that are watching, just so you understand what several Ward 1, Ward 3, other wards, just all of a sudden out of the blue, Airbnbs are popping up, and we're getting calls about all of us as council members.
First one was in Ward 2 on Charles Avenue.
Okay, yeah, and what they're doing is, I mean, I was shocked too, because I've used them, but it was going on vacation. You know, I didn't think of my vacation to Dunbar, but many people were from out of state, like the mayor mentioned, they'll pull their resources together and come in, have a massive party, and then they're gone the next morning. It's just chaos. But then, as the counselor said, the legislative leaders, in their wisdom, have made us impotent on being able to enforce much right now. So
I'll be getting some information from some of my active police, law enforcement contacts about what's going on with these places. And it's definitely not anything we want here.
yeah,
I think the pitfall in the law was, that was written, it says that you cannot restrict the amount of time that someone can rent their property. It can be 1 hour, 1 day, 1 month, 1 year. And that basically turns it into a motel room. But they say that applies to all property. Anybody can rent their property for whatever. So then we have to go through the rental registration process, and then try to keep tabs on, you know, whether they come in and go out. I mean, it's just a total nightmare, and I don't think that Airbnbs were intended for what we're seeing happening with Airbnbs.
If they're having big parties in there though, it's no worse or no different really than any of us having a big party at our house. The police coming over and breaking it up. So why couldn't the police?
Well, they have been doing that.
That's the only thing we can do. That's what we have to do, legal.
And we just want the residents that when it, you know, at 11 o'clock or so, when it becomes noisy, to call 911 and we'll get somebody down there knocking on the door and break them up. But, you know, unless somebody calls, I think everybody gets tired of hearing that call 911, but if we don't know, we can't help you. I mean, it's sad.
Well, something we might want to look at too is on the nuisance property ordinance is increase the penalties on it and shut them down as a nuisance property if necessary. You know, if we're having these in neighborhoods on work nights and they're staying up till 2, 3 o'clock in the morning out in the street drinking and everything else, we get 2 or 3 complaints like that, shut them down. Then find the landlord.
Well, you know the house you're talking about, Cheaters, or, Charles, the TV show Cheaters
Right.
was there.
More headlines for our city.
That guy did put a lot of money into that place though, because it was a dump, and he got the big house up front, and little cottage out back both.
That's who did the Airbnb behind me.
Yeah, and that was fixed up, and sometimes there's National Guard people renting stuff,
It's
so,
been National
Yeah.
Guard until this past weekend,
so it just goes back and forth.
bunch of young kids, yeah.
And I think that guy had intentions of, he was marketing also the sports complex.
Yeah, yeah,
That was his, I think, one of his originals.
it was.
He thought that was gonna bring,
Anything else?
so we talked to him, and I've sent him letters, you've sent him letters.
They got a real,
Yeah, we got,
but almost a nasty response from Airbnb court.
Yeah.
Saying they don't have to pay us taxes and all this other stuff. So my position on that is, if these people are renting through them, and they have to pay them a commission to use them, then they are making money off of rental here, and they should be paying us taxes.
Mhm.
I don't know if that'll hold up in court, but I don't see it as any different than any other business.
yeah, we need to decide where to put them, whether put them under a rental license or open them up, they'll, you know. Yeah, like, you know, one's on my street, so.
Any final financial questions for the city of Dunbar? Hearing none, we entertain a motion to adjourn until our 7 o'clock council meeting.
I make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
That guy done those 3 DMVs, you know, he passed away.
Y'all just second for the